Hello and welcome back to my channel where I like to have fun with all things beauty while being critical about what I accept into my collection. Today is my 100th video, so I am doing a Q&A. I had originally looked for a tag on YouTube to sort of have questions that other beauty creators did so that they would be a little bit more relevant to the beauty space, but ultimately I kept finding tags that originated or eventually went back to somebody that I wasn't super fond of and nothing recent. You know, that idea of the tagging of the questions or the game or whatever, that was like in its heyday like 8 years ago. So I really wasn't able to find anything even remotely recent. So what I did instead was, rather than generate my own questions because I just didn't think I would be good at that, I Googled it. And the first thing that popped up was an AI generated question thing for influencers. And, at first I was going to go ahead and use that. But a lot of those questions are for successful influencers. And I'm not even successful enough to ask my audience for questions. So I didn't really think that that would be worth much. So I found this random list of questions on a website. So long story short, that's where I'm going to pull my questions from. And I don't know, if I'm to be really honest, I partially wanted to make this video because it's not just about beauty. So I don't have to do as much work on the back end while I'm editing. I guess that's going to be how I celebrate, just less editing time. Hello, I am popping in from the future. I was editing this video and I couldn't help but think that I was sounding like super Debbie Downer during this segment of the video, and I'm gonna leave it in. But I do want to make the caveat that you can skip ahead if you don't really want to hear all of the details. The TLDR is just that I'm going to make a website and I'm going to use it to collect resources and just keep it all in one place. So it's not going to be fancy. I'm not going to spend money or put a lot of time into it because I'm not really skilled at that. But I am going to use it because I think it's an easier format to navigate than a bunch of links in the description box. I think it will be more inviting to lay it out a little bit differently, and we'll just see how it goes. I have no idea at this point. I only have the skeleton outline, but that's all I'm really talking about here. I also wanted to say that during the question and answer portion of this, there is a question that comes up about childhood, and I make the statement that between the ages of 12 and 30, my life was kind of a train wreck, and I left it at that, and I never elaborated. And I just wanted to say, I didn't do that to be cryptic. Like, I'm not hiding any super interesting secret. I just felt like this wasn't necessarily the video to dive into that. On the flip side, I'm an open book and I have been through quite a lot of things. So if I ever get the feeling that that could be helpful to anybody, I would actually love to share about some of my different experiences. The long story short of that is at the age of 12, I developed a quite serious eating disorder, like life-ending level eating disorder. And I also had substance abuse issues. I was homeless for a few years, institutionalized, experienced all kinds of trauma. And while I'd be lying if I sat here and say I didn't have any regrets, I certainly don't feel that I survived it for nothing. I am finally at a place now where it is not triggering. It's definitely not triggering for me to talk about it. It's just something I know most people can't relate to, so I don't bring it up often. But that's the experience I'm referring to there. I kind of have a dark sense of humor about it all, so sometimes that doesn't translate very well, but I did sort of want to explain that. And also, if anybody does have any more questions, I would love to answer anything people might want to know about. I was actually too nervous to post anything on Instagram to generate questions because I didn't think I would get any responses and then I would just feel bad about myself. So that's the reason I didn't ask. But by all means, I would absolutely be happy to do that if there's anything that you were curious about. So now I'm going to pop back into the video, and again, I apologize for my mood. I think that's the reality that we're living in right now. Every day is not going to be great. And I think I was just sort of in a funk when I filmed this, but That's just real life. The mood definitely changes once I start answering questions. So I apologize for that. And I thank you for being along for the ride. I also wanted to take a minute, since this is already not really a beauty focused video, to talk about my plans with this channel going forward. So a few weeks ago, I talked about, after the election, after all of that happened, I really struggled with going forward. I knew I had to say something. I didn't know what to say, and I did come out with one video and then a second video where I just talked a little bit about stuff that was on my mind. I think what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to make a website, and that's where I'm going to put a majority of the stuff either that I come across that I think is helpful or that I think could be useful to share in other spaces. So if you're, I don't know, looking for a charity that's been vetted, or you know somebody that might need something and it could be a place to start, or you yourself just want resources, I know that me putting that stuff in the description box here is not that useful. I know most people don't ever look at the description box. I know I don't. I'm totally guilty of that. I know that's why a lot of people that do a charity spotlight put it in a pinned comment, because that's the only thing that people are ever going to see. So I thought about all of those things, and I just think, while I haven't built a website in like 20 years and I really don't know what I'm doing, I did at least get a domain today, so it's going to be a separate project. I'm not going to say that I'm never going to talk about politics on YouTube, because I absolutely might. We have no idea what's ahead of us. And if something moves me to speak, I'm going to speak on it. But for the most part, I'm going to put my energy into that website, and I'm going to share a link for that in my description box under every video. So it's just really easy to find, that kind of thing. That's an evolving project. I don't know where it's going to go, truly. But I can't tell you the number of videos that I've made trying to talk about this stuff, and I've deleted them for one reason or another, whether I don't want to sound condescending. I don't want to be too off topic. I really say the wrong thing. That's what it comes down to. I don't feel like I am good at this. I care a lot, but I don't think I'm very articulate on the subject. So I think that's where I'm going to put my efforts for now. And that's something I would also love feedback on. So I'm going to try to set up some kind of an email address attached to that so we can crowdsource and, I don't know, make it just some kind of a resource guide, just something, something that Jon Stewart said recently that really stuck to me was, so many times when stuff like this happens, it becomes normal. Somehow, enough days go by and we stop sort of feeling the discomfort. And I'm like, no, we need to feel the discomfort. Like, it's really important not to get detached or numb to the stuff that, especially the stuff that doesn't impact us directly on a daily basis. And I don't want that to happen for myself. And I am particularly in a group of people as a cishet white woman, like that could happen. I could get complacent, and that's what got us here. So I'm going to try to do that. That's not like my part in this. I'm going to try to do more than that in my own community, but I'm going to start there, and I'm going to sort of use that as my outlet for that. So YouTube is going to be primarily beauty, mostly makeup reviews, with a little bit of skincare sprinkled in, but makeup for the most part. And yeah, that's sort of what you can expect from me. Like I already said in my last video, after this video, I have a Sephora haul and my favorites for 2024. Those are the two concrete videos that I have coming up. And after that, it's just whatever I can fit in before the holidays come. So I hope you'll stick around for that. I want to emphasize I don't make a lot of totally off subject videos like the one today. This is definitely a little bit different and special because it is my 100th video. I never thought I would get to this point. So honestly, it does feel like an accomplishment. I started this channel, I believe it was around January 5th of last year. So I have my 1-year mark coming up soon. My birthday is January 7th. So my little personal goal was to get a video out before my 40th birthday. I did that. It's not a very good video. I would not suggest watching that. I was using my cell phone and hoping for the best. I'm pretty sure I was using my front camera. So it's about as good as you would expect that to be. Uploaded on YouTube, it's barely watchable, but I still did it. So, 1 year later, I still don't know if this is a little bit of a midlife crisis. I don't think staring down the barrel of 41, I don't think I'm any more comfortable being in my 40s. I don't, that sentence still sounds completely weird. I don't relate to it. I'm like, who is that? I had somebody I know has a son approaching 30. They're older than me, but still, I'm like, I'm supposed to be approaching 30. What is this? What is happening? What is time? I don't know. I don't know how this happened, but here we are. So I figured if I'm ever going to do it, I can only try. The other thing is just my background and my history. Like, I have no business being on the internet. I am way too sensitive for this. Not only that, but I don't like my own face. I'm really not happy with what I see when I look in the mirror. So for me to put that on blast on the internet, like, sometimes I feel really crazy for even attempting this. But here we are. What it came down to was I really like makeup, and I don't like most people. Most people, this is why they start. They really like makeup and nobody cares. Nobody in their real life gives a flying F about any of it. So we all come here because other people get, like, when we see a really sparkly eyeshadow, the feeling we get from that, only people who understand are going to understand. So that's certainly why I'm here. I also really like to share information. Like, if I feel like I've wasted my money on something, I want to save somebody else from doing the same thing. So that's why I really like to do reviews. I know they always say when you come to this space, you have to offer something different. Do I think I necessarily offer something different? No, I don't. I think there are a lot of people out here my age these days doing this. It's not like it was 10 years ago. There are definitely a large number of older women out here talking about whether a concealer really does work on mature skin. I'm not the only one here doing that. All I can offer is my individual perspective and my personal take. I'm not the best at makeup. I only really got into makeup like 3 years ago at the most. Maybe it was more like 2. So I don't have the highest skill level. I don't have the funniest personality. I don't have any of the best of anything, but I'm just a regular person. So I'm out here giving my regular person perspective on things. And if that resonates with some people, that's all I could ever hope for. I really never had any goals with this channel. I did want to get to 1K. I will say that. I did really hope to, after a year of doing this, be closer to halfway there. So I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit disappointed, but I'm not ready to give up. I do want to give it at least one more year. If after a whole second year I still don't get to 1,000, I may give up then and just stick to Instagram just because of the amount of time it takes. It does take a lot of time to edit. So I don't know that I could stick to something if I feel like it's futile. It's not that I would make money at 1,000 subscribers. Nobody with 1,000 subscribers can quit their job. You just feel like you're going somewhere. And I think it's that like optimism of going somewhere. That would be enough for me. But I don't know. We'll see how it goes after the next year. Between that, and I don't know what next year's going to bring. I'm not sure if I'm going on a no or a low buy or how that's going to shake out, but I'm definitely going to have less brand new makeup. I know I need to start budgeting my savings better. So I guess that's all to say. I'm not really sure what next year is going to look like, but I do plan on at least trying to make it another full year. All right, so I guess without any more rambling, I'll start in with the AI generated questions. I'll talk about some of those first. So the first one I see is, what is your favorite hobby outside of creating content? Art. Easy art. I love manual art. I can't draw to save my life, which makes me very sad. I really wish that I had that skill, but I definitely don't. I like making stuff, whether it's candles, silk screening t-shirts, soap, body lotion, just about anything that I can do with my hands. I really enjoy making things. What is your go-to comfort food? Potatoes. I am nearly 100% Irish. I have never met a potato that I don't like. My favorite is probably baked because I can stuff it with things. So I use it as like a shell. And I mean, my favorite thing is boring. My favorite thing is sour cream. I like being able to use the potato as a bowl and just add a bunch of stuff in. I mean, I could eat potatoes all day. It's not good. I try not to, but I really, really love potatoes. Do you have any pets? What are their names? Why, yes, I do. This is the love of my life. This is my soulmate. This is Jersey Girl. She looks very gray on camera, but she acts very young. She's like her mother. She is 10, almost 11 years old, and she is just the absolute light of my life. I have had a lot of dogs, and I've never met a dog that is as sweet and as kind as my Jersey Girl. She is my entire world. We also just got a puppy who's a little bit insane. But he's a good boy. He's teething right now. We just found one of his little canines on the couch the other day because it fell out. It was as adorable as you would expect. He's about 4.5 months old, and honestly, he's doing his job. His main job right now is to get my older dog to be a little bit more active, and he's doing a phenomenal job. You know, you never really know what to expect. We knew we wanted to get another rescue, but we just sort of had to take a chance. The dogs did meet before we brought him home, but you know, obviously it takes a minute for everything to get settled until you know how things are going to work out, and I'm incredibly grateful that they seem to be working out as well as they are. Not that he's not a handful, because he is. He's not really wanting to do the potty training thing, but we're getting there, and it's fun to have 2 dogs. I'm a dog person. I grew up with dogs. I used to work with dogs, so I'm very grateful. And oh, what are their names? So my older one is Jersey Girl, and the little guy is Dexter. Where are you originally from? So I am originally from a teeny tiny little town in New Jersey, but despite it being so small, it didn't feel like a small town because it was very close to New York City. So I grew up like 10 miles from the GWB, or the George Washington Bridge, and it wasn't like it was no effort to get into the city because like if you've ever tried to commute into Manhattan, you know that that's not really an easy like after school activity. But it's close enough that you can very easily access New York, and I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful for the amount of things that I got to experience as a young person from a cultural perspective, because it made my life better. You know, the museums, the art, the culture, the food, everything. It was just, I'm so grateful. I feel so lucky because I got to have access to that and still have a backyard and grass. So it really was the best of both worlds. I, to this day, love New Jersey with my whole heart. I will always love New Jersey. I felt like I had a really, really nice childhood, and I'm so grateful for that. I did not have an easy life. I went through a lot when I was in my teens and 20s, but I did always feel like I had a really good place to call home. So I will forever love New Jersey. What's your favorite travel destination? That's a tough one. I feel like asked in that way, it sort of makes it sound like it's a repeat destination, and I'm not traveling anywhere that frequently. But I mean, I guess if I were to look at it that way, I would say New York, because you know, I get to see my family and everyone that I care about. Other than that, Europe, I mean, like if money were no option, Italy, like absolutely. You know, I guess part of me would be like, I want to see somewhere that I've never seen before, because I don't know, there's a lot in this world that I would love to see, but the spot that comes to mind as being like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life, I guess would have to be the Amalfi Coast. I did that for my honeymoon, that, and we went to Greece, and oh my god, the Mediterranean, like phenomenally beautiful. Would love to see something like that again in my lifetime. What is your morning routine like? I'm kind of a mess. I go straight for coffee. I pretty much don't do anything before coffee hits my bloodstream. So maybe I'll stop at the bathroom if I really have to, but if I can wait, I get coffee first. I drink my coffee pretty quickly. I actually drink cold brew, so I don't even need to let it cool off or anything. I just like chug a cup of coffee. Then I take the dogs out, and then as the moments pass and I become more and more human, I do my skincare routine and I take my dog for a walk. After that, I shower. it's not really that exciting. All right, now I'm going to switch to the other questions that I found, and I'll put a link to these in the description box in case anyone is curious where I pulled them from. But number one, what time do you go to bed? My sleep hygiene is atrocious. I would say I am the poster child for what not to do. I stay up really late because I'm a night owl. So I'll stay up easily 2 a.m. I'll still be at the computer editing something at 2 a.m. and then I have no time to wind down. So regardless of what time I try to go to bed, I need like a good hour to just like check out. I love TV for that because it allows me to like zone out, so I'm not thinking about, I guess, reality. I'll just come out and say reality is challenging to think about right now. So it's a good way for me to like get some good brain rot in there so that I can go to sleep without really thinking about anything too serious. But I should really scale it back because I can't sleep in to make up for it. So, you know, rather than just being tired all the time, I should probably try to go to bed at least midnight. Midnight would be an improvement. That's when I go to bed on a good day. Who is your celebrity crush? I don't think I have one. I really don't think I have one right now. There's no men in Hollywood that I care about. I mean, honestly, if I'm really being real here, the older that I get, the less I care about men, period. I mean, I never really liked them all that much, but I did at least have a phase where I guess I could say I had a celebrity crush. These days, I'm like, they're all terrible. Take them away. Do we really need men? I'm kidding, kind of. I used to love Devon Sawa. When I was really young, I was obsessed with Devon Sawa, which is hilarious because I don't actually like blonde men, like at all. As an adult, I'm way more of like a Colin Farrell girl than a Brad Pitt. Like something about Brad Pitt, I don't know. He looked kind of like fragile just not really for me. But I liked me some Colin Farrell. And I guess maybe like I would be susceptible to the bad boy stereotype for sure. Definitely got me in trouble over the years, but nothing recent. I don't know. I'm like, if they're literally on the screen in front of me, I could appreciate it, but they spend no time occupying my mind outside of that. So I don't have one. I'm not really into. I have plenty of celebrity females that I crush on, that I love, that I spend time thinking how great they are, but no men. How would you rate your childhood on a scale of 1 to 10? That's kind of an odd question. I guess if I were to be totally objective and just talk about like childhood, meaning below the age of 10, I would say it's a 10. I have phenomenal parents. I grew up in a very nice place, so that was a solid 10. What I did to myself as a teenager, that was a 0. Like my life from 12 to 30 was kind of a train wreck, but before 10, it was A+. All right, I'm gonna have to speed this up a little bit because I'm already overheating. All right, so next up, what are your favorite values in friends? Compassion. Without any thought, without any hesitation, I want friends who are empathetic, care about other people, that above all else. You know, I feel like there's an endless list of adjectives that you could use to describe somebody, but if they don't have that, there's really, I don't know, nothing else actually matters. So, favorite holiday. Halloween. I'd still say it's probably Halloween. That's just because I like the aesthetic the most, but I guess Christmas also because I get to see my family and that's my happy place. So I definitely look forward to that every year, but obviously with the holidays, it comes with a ton of stress. So past answer, I like Halloween quite a lot. What is your spirit animal? I've been told it's an elephant. I think as a little kid I decided that, but then it was like reinforced at some point. It might have been by somebody at a metaphysical store at some point because I used to frequent those a lot in my youth, but somebody told me that and I was like, that resonates with me. I'm not really sure why, but it does. Favorite piece of clothing? My sweatshirts. I don't have one in particular, but any sweatshirt that's very oversized. That's my favorite. How long was my longest relationship? That would be the one I'm in currently. So I met my husband when I was 27. So we have been together for 13 years, going on 14, something like, I'm horrible with math, but at least 13. So prior to that, most of my relationships were a little bit on the longer side, but 13 years takes the cake. Favorite subject in high school. So we had a class in high school, and the name of it now is escaping me for some reason, and I'm really upset about that. I'm gonna have to look it up when I'm done filming this, and I'm gonna pop it on the screen right now, because I don't know if it was just my school that did this, but it was kind of a philosophy class, but it was like a little bit different. It was a little bit more than that. We definitely covered basic philosophy, but it also touched on theoretical physics and metaphysics and stuff like that. And it just, I don't have a mathematics brain, but it all being theory, I was able to understand it, and it lit me up. It was like my absolute favorite thing in the world. I loved it so much that I excelled in that, and then in college, I flew through all of the entry-level philosophy courses that I took because I studied it all already in high school, and I like had it memorized. So I remember going to those classes. I didn't have to read a thing because I had already read it. It was crazy to me how easy. It was my first easy straight A+ I've ever gotten in my life. So that was exciting. I didn't stick with it because obviously it's hard to find a career that way. And, you know, I didn't really have any idea where I was going in college anyway, but I knew it wasn't going to be writing or being a teacher. So I didn't pursue that, but it's what made me the most excited to learn. Since my probably mid-20s at this point, I have sort of abandoned all of that stuff. I know when the show Through the Wormhole came out with Morgan Freeman, and a bunch of those shows on the Science Channel got popular. The What the Bleep Do We Know documentary and How Long is a Piece of String. Like, there's been some good content that's come out in the last 20 years that has sort of reignited my love for that stuff, but I haven't seriously thought about any of it in a very long time. If you're on Instagram and you've ever seen the creator Gnarly by Nature, she's phenomenal. She's a STEM pioneer. She is out here fighting the good fight. She is stunning to look at. So she gets attention based on that, but she's also insanely smart. So it's been really refreshing coming across some of her stuff, because I've forgotten all about that part of myself that in school, that is the thing that got me to show up. I didn't really care for any of the other stuff. I did really well in English and history, but I wasn't interested in any of it. That's what interested me. So that was a really fun question for me to think about. What's your favorite ice cream flavor? Well, there's a change of pace. So vanilla. I hate to be boring, but that's the truth. I guess my actual favorite would be cookies and cream, though. Yeah, that's my favorite hard ice cream. My favorite soft serve would be vanilla, but my favorite, like, real old school ice cream would be cookies and cream. What was your first job? My first job was tagging dirty clothes at a laundromat. I walked my little butt in town when I was like 14 years old, and I got a job at, literally, it was the first store at the top of, like, my town was on either side of the road, one street long, and my plan was to go one by one down the street and apply everywhere until I got a job. Because the cleaners happened to be at the top of the block, that was the first place I went in, and they hired me. So that was my first job. When I was a little bit older, I got a little bit better of a job at a jewelry store in town, and I really liked that. That was much cushier, but my very first job was at a dry cleaners. What are your pet peeves? I gotta be honest here. I think I'm pretty easygoing. I actually have like real OCD, like I'm not somebody that says they have OCD. I have clinical OCD that at times has made my life quite unmanageable. So I do have some things that annoy me about myself, like habits that I can't seem to break, but genuinely what other people do, could care less. Really, unless they're like in my face, like shining a light or playing loud music or doing something like truly, truly obnoxious, I pretty much don't care at all. So yeah, I guess like my pet peeves all have to do with me and nobody else. Do I have any bad habits? I don't know, if is being messy a habit? I always like to say I'm clean, but I'm not messy. So I will not stand for something to be like actually dirty with dirt on it. But I can't throw things away to save my life. So I hold on to everything. And because of that, I'm a mess. My closets are scary because I can't seem to get rid of clothing that's over 10 years old that I'm never going to wear. So that's definitely a bad habit. At my age, I don't think that's changing anytime soon, but I still think that I could work on it. I could make attempts. How many siblings do I have? I have one sister. She's 5 years younger than me, so she's a baby. And yeah, it's just us two. Do you prefer the city or the country? I mean, both. I want to be in the country, but I don't want to be too far from a city. I don't want to, at my age, I don't want to live in a city. I do really like my quiet, but I don't want to be cut off from civilization because that's frankly, it's just scary. I always think at night, like where I live is very residential. But if it was any quieter, I'd be scared. Like, I don't want to be cut off from civilization. I just want to be able to, in my own space, have some peace and quiet. So, I both. I'm like right in the middle. What social media platform do you use the most? Instagram. No question, definitely Instagram. I've abandoned Facebook. I still keep it around because I have photos on there that I definitely want to make sure I have access to my photos because, I didn't always have the cloud. So some of my photos aren't backed up anywhere else. So I keep it around for that, but I genuinely hate being on Facebook. So I've abandoned Facebook. I don't even actually use my own personal Instagram. I only use my critical beauty Instagram because I'm like over social media. I will use it for people's birthdays, but I don't use it to communicate with people anymore. Ever since 2020, I'm just like, I'm good. I'm going to stay in my little niche. And the people that I really need to talk to, I'll text. I don't know. I mean, maybe that'll change. I just joined Blue Sky. I never used Twitter. I was never a Twitter person because I didn't like the format of it. Something about the layout just my brain didn't like. So I never ever went on there. Blue Sky is set up a little bit similar, kind of like Threads and, anything else that's made to sort of mimic Twitter. So I don't know if I'll ever really get into that, but I'm hoping I do because I would love to like social media again. I'm sort of at the point where, yeah, I like it. It has its purpose. I'm not going to abandon it altogether, but I don't have fun. I certainly don't have fun on social media anymore. So I don't know, but if you have Blue Sky, I will leave my link down below. When was the last time you embarrassed yourself? Wow, I embarrass myself on a daily basis. I am one of those people, I always say, people say nothing's cringier than a Facebook post from 10 years ago. And I'm like, nothing's cringier than something I said to somebody trying to be funny yesterday. Like, it doesn't take long. I don't need that amount of time to regret things that have come out of my mouth. I know on Instagram, something that has been stuck in my... So somebody shared something and I reshared it because it's a creator that I really look up to and like a lot. And I called them a national treasure and I thought it was funny in the moment. And then immediately I regretted it, but I couldn't delete it and they already saw it. And when they saw it and they didn't respond, I was like, oh my God, I look like a freak. Like, what kind of idiot makes a comment like that? That's something you say about somebody if you really know them. Or if, like, I don't know, they're doing something on a national scale. It's not really just a compliment that you throw around, and that's how I was using it. And that's been on my mind literally since the day I posted it. So I am just constantly a walking embarrassment. I hope to get over that. Everybody says you stop giving an F in your 40s. I'm like, when is that going to happen? Because I still care about way more things than I should. Describe my fashion sense. Comfortable. I used to say athleisure, but now I'm like, no, athleisure is nicer than what I wear. I wear like sweatpants or leggings and a baggy t-shirt. That's my preferred uniform. That and a big oversized sweatshirt. So as comfortable as humanly possible. I don't like clothes. Clothes don't make me happy. I don't get any satisfaction out of a nice outfit. I just want something that's comfortable and easy to take care of. So, I like shoes, and I was going to say bags, but no, that's a complete lie. I don't like handbags at all. I just like shoes. Shoes are the only thing I like. Everything else, I'm just going for comfort. What is your favorite color? Blue. I also like pink and purple, but I'd say blue is definitely my favorite color. What was my dream job as a kid? Archaeologist. When I was too young to know what that really was, I just really liked rocks. I loved the pyramids in Egypt. I loved learning about all of that stuff, and I had a bunch of rocks that I would carry around. I'd collect them. I'd spend hours outside in the backyard collecting rocks, washing them off, and then carrying them around with me as pets. I don't know what I was doing, but I definitely thought I was going to be an archaeologist. Who are some of your favorite YouTubers? I was actually hoping that this question would come up because there are some people on YouTube that I am so happy that I've come across because they frankly really make me feel a lot more sane and a lot less alone. I think, there's a lot of creators that I could watch them, take them or leave them, that kind of thing. But it's the people that also have a personality. Like, I'm not just here for the makeup, that's what brought me to the table. But the people that I drop everything to watch are the people who I have more in common with than that. I think the first person that comes to mind that, if I see they post, I stop watching other things and I watch their content first. Teresa is dead. I think right now, especially her bringing some levity into my life, like I really need that right now. I love her and I love her content. Another YouTuber that I really, really appreciate because I just love their perspective on things is Audra Rain. I could listen to them talk about just about anything. And quite frankly, sometimes they are talking about something that I have like a TV show that I've never seen. Most people wouldn't watch that. I do, just because hearing them talk makes me feel grounded. I feel like Audra is what my brain would be if it was optimized. Like, their takes on just life, just their outlook on life is just like, I'm on the same wavelength. I would never be able to articulate it, like not even close to the level that they're articulating it at, but it is spot on to how I'm feeling, and it just makes me feel grounded. So those are two creators that really jump out in the forefront of my mind. Another creator that I absolutely love is Alice in the Rabbit Hole. She is so smart, and her skincare content is spot on. I mean, obviously I relate because I have dry, acne-prone skin, which is a really rough combo. Like, it's not a fun skin type to have, so the content is useful. But even more than that, just her analytical approach to everything, her down-to-earth, not to mention that she has saved me more money than anybody. Nobody has saved me as much money as she has because she pays attention to sales, but she also has a strategy. So like recently for the Sephora sale, she said, Be Frugal, download Be Frugal. I saved an extra $60. I got $60 back during that sale. So on top of the sale prices, like that was just from the cash back. Stuff like that I never would have known about if she didn't talk about it. So I feel like, I don't know how you wouldn't have heard about her by now, but if you haven't, especially before Black Friday, Cyber Monday, subscribe because her content is phenomenal. I also like the classics. I like Dr. Dre, Lab Muffin. I like educational stuff. Pulling up my feed now, there's some people that, I forget about sometimes, like Hannah from Smoky Glow. She hasn't been making a ton of content, although she did recently start back up, and I still love her. ContraPoints, like, oh my god, her stuff is phenomenal. Kate the Great Beauty, oh, I've been following her for a long time too. I love the awareness that she's brought to brand owners. For so long I felt like not buying from certain brands, I guess boycotting, but it's just not buying from certain brands, was useless because everything was owned by like the same three big companies, and it was useless and yada yada. But then I realized, like, that's what they want you to think so that you don't do it. And yes, sometimes that is true. You can definitely boycott certain things and have it totally backfire, but it does matter when a brand stands for something. So she's gone out of her way to collect and compile brands that are vocally pro-choice. And obviously, since these beauty brands are selling primarily to women, if I have a choice between buying from a brand that supports women, I'm gonna wanna buy from the brand that supports women. So her providing that list and dedicating her entire channel to that, I think is admirable. I know that that must have been beyond difficult, but I am so grateful. And that's why I always try to check on that and use her links when I can, because I don't know, she's done a lot for women. And frankly, we need that now more than ever. I also really like Beauty and the Frizz and Rachel Ellen Rose. Those are two newer creators to me, but I've enjoyed both of their stuff. Oh my gosh, I forgot HLP. Hannah Louise Poston. That's the creator that started most, that's how I met a lot of these other creators. Hope Mess Tom, who is one of my all-time favorite creators. I'd say there's like 3 or 4 at the top that I sort of drop everything for. It's Teresa is Dead, Hope Miss Tom, Alice in the Rabbit Hole, and Jen Love. Those are probably my top 4. But I also love Clove Room. That's a discovery that I've made through Hope Must Tom. Lauren May Beauty is phenomenal. Michelle Wong, Ella Kinkley. I somehow left out Queer Bones, Glitter Fallout, and Charlotte Holdcroft. Those are some of my favorites too. I might be forgetting some people, but hopefully those are the main people that I'm watching right now. And I do still watch Morgan Turner. I don't watch all of her videos like I used to watch everyone religiously. I've backed off because it's a lot. It's a lot of content right now, but I do really appreciate her reviews. I think her reviews are really no BS. I don't think she's perfect, but nobody's perfect. And I think she always means well, and I like her. I can't help it. I feel like people love to criticize people once they really start doing well, but I've never seen Morgan be anything other than nice. So I think her success is earned. I think she's really put in the work. Her reviews are quite useful, and she really doesn't cut corners. And just, I never would have thought that I could relate to somebody so much younger than me when it comes to skin, but she has dry skin, and she talks about texture, and she does all the things. So her videos are very useful. I cannot hate on Morgan Turner. I don't watch all of it, but I think it's really, really good content. And yeah, that's everything that jumps out to me, but there's a ton of content creators that I really like. There are some that I've fallen off, that I used to really love their stuff, but over the past year I've seen some things and it's been hard because I miss their content. I wouldn't say that I had a parasocial relationship and I felt like I was losing a friend. I didn't really feel like I was losing a friend, but I did feel like I was missing on hearing their updates, their stuff, their personality. That's life. Stuff like that happens. It's why I don't want to ever get too crazy about any one creator, but I also don't want it to make me feel like I can't trust anybody. We only see what we see. These videos are not that long. They're a very small window into people's lives. So there could be stuff that we don't see, and sometimes it comes out and sometimes it doesn't. So I don't know. I guess all that to say I've been disappointed as well, but there's a lot to like. There's a lot of really good content creators right now. Do you like dogs or cats? I like both. I like all animals. I really do. I wouldn't say no to any pet other than maybe a snake. A snake, I don't know, I'm a little bit nervous around snakes, but any other type of pet I'm a big fan of. I am the most comfortable around dogs because I've been around dogs my whole life, but I like all the animals. PCR Mac, so I am Team Mac. I'm afraid, 20 years ago, I felt that that was more of a big deal. There was Mac people and PC people, and it was like a religion. People took it serious. I don't think it's quite that cutthroat anymore. I don't know, but I like the user experience of Mac better. I'm not computer savvy, and I don't want to be. I have no aspirations of coding. No thank you. I want a nice clean interface that's easy to use and dummy proof, and Mac gives me that. So I'm very happy with my Mac products. Favorite thing to do when you have free time? Become a vegetable in front of the television. And finally, where do you currently live? I currently live in Florida. I live right in between Miami and Fort Lauderdale. I live in a little blue haven in a very red sea. So the joke has always been that this is the 5th borough because most of the people here are not from Florida. It's very East Coast, mostly New York and New Jersey, so I feel right at home. I don't want to stay in Florida. I like living here now. I can't say that I'm not thrilled to not have winter anymore. I don't miss the snow and the cold and the gray, all of that, the seasonal depression, like that stuff's real. And I don't miss that at all. But I do miss the Northeast. I miss the culture and the seasons changing and all the cities in the Northeast, Boston, New York, just, so there's so much going on in that area. And I do really love it. I have been to California on several occasions and I loved it in California, but I never felt like that could really be my home. It was either coast, like those, I felt like either coast was my only real option. And being on the East Coast, I would prefer to be back up north, but if I had to be anywhere in Florida or in the South, really, other than New Orleans, I have to say, spending some time in New Orleans, I was shocked at how much I loved that city. That's like the South in general is not my jam. I did not think that I was going to like New Orleans, but it was like super cool and chill, and I really liked it there. But outside of that, I think the only place where I could feel remotely like myself is exactly where I'm in Florida. So I'm grateful for that. We don't plan to stay here forever. So we do plan to go back up north eventually. My husband is from New York, so we're both Northeasterners. I could go on, but I do definitely think that this video is long enough. If you've stuck to the end, you are incredible. I love you and I am so grateful. Thank you so much. Like I said, back to regularly scheduled content next week. Everything's going right back to normal. I'm still waiting on my stupid Sephora order, but I've come to the conclusion that whether or not that gets here, I'm gonna do my haul next week. So that's coming next week along with my favorites, and I'm gonna get all of that up before Black Friday. So dry skin friendly reviews on their way. I hope you are having a fabulous day wherever you are. I hope you're taking care of yourself. I love you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.